The mysterious world of espionage is laced with betrayal, intelligence, and courage. It is based on the ability of one individual to take an informed step toward the greater good. But what do the spies earn for these dangerous jobs? In today's video, we will share some highly classified information about the paychecks of several special agents. Intelligence agencies such as the CIA and MI6 are at the heart of this band of spies. Responsible for their country's safety and national security, the CIA and MI6 cannot solely rely on the men they have inside their agencies, and thus spies factor into the equation. What do spies actually do?
These real-life spies have the kind of action that, say, James Bond might see in a single day. There's no question that spying can be a dangerous business.
You may have heard countless stories of spies who betrayed their soil to prevent the world from fatal damage. These courageous men and women worked on the brink of extreme risk to make sure their values were recognized. While most spy stories revolve around a characteristically moral storyline, it would be naive of you to think there are no incentives involved. Yes, money is a small, almost minute part of this entire debate, but it is there nonetheless. The world runs on money, cash is king, green speaks, whatever you want to call it. Nothing in the world ever transpires without money being involved, so it's almost naive to imagine high-risk transactions taking place without a hefty incentive involved for the opposing party. Agencies around the world such as the CIA, America's largest intelligence agency, or the MI6, the British Secret Service employ spies to work for them outside the premise of the agency. They need undercover infiltrators who work through secret networks to provide them with classified intel that cannot be accessed without contracting the help of someone from the other end. This may include anything from minor economic reports to state secrets. That's where spies come into play. These skilled individuals are the frontline soldiers of intelligence operations. They work undercover, operating in the shadows and gathering invaluable information that can't be obtained traditionally. They are the eyes and ears of these agencies, providing first-hand insights into the intentions, capabilities, and activities of individuals, groups, or even entire nations. World-renowned spies such as Oleg Penkovsky or Klaus Fuchs, who turned rouge because of the injustice they witnessed and the absolute chaos the world was inching towards during the era of the Cold War, were well justified in their actions, and had they not intervened when they did, the world would have faced great peril.
And so many believe that we have Oleg Penkovsky to thank for the crisis not turning into World War III. Which, had it turned nuclear, could have wiped us all out.
When the world was up against nuclear superpowers, these men and many others risked everything to make sure the coming generations would live prosperous lives. Why do they choose this path? Now you may think to yourself, what could possibly inspire someone to betray their own country for the greater good? Well, a hefty incentive may do the trick. In this video, we will go into detail about the pay grade of spies, but before we do, it would be important to understand the difference between spy work, risk, and agencies involved, and how all these factors affect the pay grade of spies and double agents. Agencies like the CIA and MI6, although technically working towards the same goal, need to keep their information confidential and private at all times. They also need to make sure the person they are trusting, the spy, is well accommodated so that their cover is not blown. For this, major funding is done to make sure the espionage activities of these individuals are kept well under the rug. Depending on the task, country, and agency, spies and agents can receive varying pay. Since this entire system is sworn to secrecy, these numbers may not be entirely accurate, but we can make intelligent guesses. One thing we do know for sure, though, is that depending on the kind of intelligence, the yearly pay of a spy may vary drastically. Different intelligence agencies have their own unique ways of compensating their spies. You might notice that agencies in wealthier countries often dish out more generous financial packages to attract and keep those top-notch operatives on their team. And hey, it makes sense. Bigger agencies with plenty of resources at their disposal tend to have more wiggle room when it comes to providing financial support to their spies. So, it's not surprising to see variations in compensation across different agencies and countries. The country where the spy is operating can also impact how much they get paid. It all comes down to the economic situation, like the overall wealth and GDP of the country. See, countries with a higher GDP tend to have more tax money available for intelligence agencies to allocate towards spy operations and payments. So, it's no surprise that financial resources can vary depending on the country's economic factors. Now, let's say we're not talking about wealthy superpowers. There are other factors that may up the paycheck for certain spies. If they're dealing with high priority or high risk stuff like counterterrorism or nuclear proliferation, you can bet they might receive extra perks or incentives. I mean, the work they're doing is super crucial, right? The sensitivity, complexity, and potential impact of the intelligence they're dealing with can all play a role in shaping their compensation structure. It's all about recognizing the significance of the missions they're on. As we mentioned a little earlier, agencies pay for everything. Let's say our spy has to travel a lot for an operation. In that case, the intelligence agency might cover their living expenses in different locations. And hey, some missions might require specialized equipment and fancy technology, and you can bet the agency will provide that too. They want to make sure their spies have everything they need to get the job done right. Okay, but what about senior spies, men and women of great intelligence? Spies who have been around the block and gained a ton of experience and skills can expect to get a higher paycheck. Their years of service, successful track record, and specialized knowledge all come into play when determining their pay. And you know what's even better? When they get promotions or move up the ladder within the intelligence agency, that often comes with a nice boost in salary. It's all about recognizing their expertise and rewarding them for their hard work and dedication, not to mention the risk they are taking. Speaking of risks, spies know that it can impact their pay. If they're working in some seriously dangerous environments or taking on high-risk missions, they might get some sweet extra incentives or what we call hazard pay. And let's not forget about the security and confidentiality requirements. Those spy missions are all hush-hush, so special arrangements and benefits might be necessary to make sure everything stays on the down low. It's all about recognizing the risks they're taking and making sure they're well taken care of. So, keeping in mind all these factors, we can now better understand how much spies get paid. Stick around till the end for a little bonus content. For now, let's dig into the numbers. According to a former intelligence agent, if Russians or Chinese intelligence agencies manage to recruit a CIA or FBI agent, they might dish out around a whopping $1 million per year. This shouldn't come as a surprise since American special agents are very hard to crack, and if you do manage to find one willing to be a mole, the incentive needs to be worth the risk. So, what might a lower-level spy make? It's okay, we won't make you do the math. Let's say someone's working as an asset in Afghanistan, dealing with low-level or economic intel. They might be looking at something like £200 to $2,000 a month. Not too shabby, right? All that money just to push information around. That is, of course, in the digital era. Passing along information is much easier now than it was during the Cold War, and so the pay adjusts itself accordingly. Now, let's say we're talking about people a bit higher on the ladder, like senior officers from the Chinese Ministry of State Security or those Russian ex-KGB or Federal Security Service officers. Things get even more interesting. These spies could easily command a minimum of $200,000 per year without negotiation. It's a simple demand and supply game, much like the entire world. The world of espionage also runs on this phenomenon. If the paying party is desperate, the checks become heavier. When put this way, it seems like a lot of money going into and out of the spy business, and you may even find yourself wondering, these guys must be millionaires. That couldn't be far from the truth, however. In actuality, millionaire spies are few and far apart. Some spies get called in for special assignments where a fixed payment is decided upon, and if their services are required again, they get called back. Others in much more permanent positions may not be dealing with a lot of high-risk material, and thus their pay is also set accordingly. Let's not forget one of the biggest factors, though. They are spies. A government employee who suddenly gets rich is a blaring red alert for authorities. Spies who are selling information and intel out of their countries to other agencies need to flip on stealth mode and keep things very well hidden, and that means their finances as well. So even if there was a millionaire spy, it is highly unlikely they will ever reveal it to the world. Not to mention, we don't know a whole lot about the subject to begin with. In fact, we know without a doubt that there aren't very many spies who were paid above $1 million. But US KGB double agent Robert Hansen managed to collect a payment of $1.40 million before he was jailed for his offenses, and other than him, only 4 other American spies had paychecks upwards of $1 million. While money is in the midst of all transactions that take place in the world, the espionage activities carried out by iconic spies were motivated solely by their obligation to humanity and the service they could provide for their country and the world they lived in. A bonus check was just that, a bonus. It would be unwise and completely unfair to reduce the heroics of spies like Klaus Fuchs, Oleg Penkovsky, Ted Hall, and Virginia Hall to a mere number on a piece of paper. With that, our video on the finances and paychecks of double agents and spies comes to an end. We hope this insight into world espionage helped you understand how spies operate and the motivations that drive their work. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to never miss another spy tactic video. Make sure to like this video so we can keep making more commentaries on the world of spies and espionage. Until next time, take care and stay curious.